So I'll send you the YouTube link. Check so you can add it. So please add it. You send me the Zoom link, right? So let me join the Zoom. I should inside the Zoom link. As Shotun started the Zoom, he hasn't started. I think I can start it from here. The Zoom meeting has started. The YouTube link has started, right? I'm asking to confirm it. Okay. Okay. No problem. Who is opening voice call on the group? It's not there. It's there. Yes. Once everybody's in there. I'm going to tell Shotun to display his slider. Okay. Display his slider. No, just the space that I didn't start.
Will you be the one controlling the mute and unmute?
No.
Hello, good morning, all. Hello, good morning, all.
Morning, sir.
All right, so we are about to start the session. Oh,
Okay, but just one person has joined for now.
okay. Okay, let's give them some, maybe next 2 minutes and start the main class.
Oh, okay. Mommy. Then, Mr. Joshua, is it possible, sir, that I won't be able to be unmuting myself?
Send a message to me.
You said?
Send a message to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so good morning, all. So, we are welcome to. Yeah, good morning, all. We are welcome to. Yeah, so good morning, all. Another section for the first session. We are welcome to for web development. In today's section, we have a very excellent instructors that's going to be taking us. We are welcome to good morning, another section. Let's try to meet ourselves. We are welcome to. Let's try to meet ourselves. Web development. Too much. In today's section, we have a very excellent instructors that's going to be taking us. We are welcome to good morning, another section. Let's try to meet ourselves. We are welcome to. Let's try to meet ourselves. Web development. I'm going to read his profile. In today's section, we have so that you can the person that's going to excellent instructors today. Today's question is basic structure. Let's try to meet ourselves. Let's try to meet ourselves. Business means business. Shorten is a result oriented an AI as McGeorge consultant. He's a graduate of anatomy and a certified scientist. And then we can now install some extensions. So to install some extensions, you need to navigate to the left pane of the Visual Studio Code environment and click on this box. If I hover it, you can see extensions. And then I click on it. And then we can now install some extensions. So to install some extensions, necessary ones, you need to navigate to the left pane of the Visual Studio Code environment. So we take and click on this box. If I hover it, you can see extensions. Live server. And then I click on it. And then we can now install some extensions. So to install some extensions, necessary ones, you need to navigate to the left. It structures the content of the web pages. How they are arranged on the web pages is basically a function of HTML. So, and it is the foundation on which most websites are used. So if you also notice advanced frameworks, maybe React, structures the content. See, they use of the web pages. Similar to how they are arranged on the web pages is basically a function of HTML. So, and it is the foundation on which most websites are used. Is like so if you also notice similar to HTML, advanced frameworks, it structures the content. See, they use structure of the web pages. Similar to how they are arranged on the web pages is basically web and the content of HTML. Those web pages. So, and it is the foundation on which most websites are used. Like HTML so if you also notice similar to HTML, advanced frameworks, let's move on. The content. See, they use structure of the web pages. Similar to how they are arranged on the web pages. Consortium or the W3C, that's HTML3. And then in 1999, HTML4 was published. And then in 2014, HTML5 was published. And it's currently what we are using to date. So HTML5 is the current and latest version of HTML. That's HTML3. So we can say in 1999, HTML4 was published, and then it's first launched in 2014, HTML5. So currently, HTML is considered a living standard, which we are using today, constantly being. So HTML5 is the current and latest version of HTML3. So we can say in 1999, HTML4 was published, basic structure of an HTML document. 2014, HTML5. So let's say currently HTML is considered a living standard, which we are using today. The structure of an HTML is basically starts with doc type HTML3. So we can say in 1999, HTML4 was published, basic structure of an HTML 2014, HTML5. Let's say currently HTML is considered a HTML tag, which we are using today. The structure of an HTML, this is the root element, which all other elements, so we can say are children of the element, so all other elements is under this element. That's why we can say
also carries important links, maybe links to external resources or APIs or what have you. So this is the section of the head So the title section contains the title of the page. And then we now move to the body. So the body holds the content of the page. So everything that's visible.
This meeting is being recorded.
An exclamation mark here and then MS abbreviation, and then I click enter. So this is the basic structure of my HTML document. So we can see the doc type is declared, telling us it's an HTML document. And then we also have the language of the HTML document and the head section. So you can see these meta tags. They contain important information about the website. And we can also add more meta tags for search engine optimization. And then this is the title of my document. So I'm going to change this to Hello World and save. Okay. Then we also have the body tag. I'm going to add a paragraph here. I hope you're following. And then that will be it. So the next thing I need to do is to install Live Server. So Live Server is an extension that enables you to preview your HTML code on your local system. So I can just search for Live Server on the extension panel. And you just need to install it. So just click on install, something like this. And after it's installed, you should see the icon at the bottom right of your HTML code. So I'll just click this to run the Live Server. So I've clicked on it. Okay, so it should open my web browser for me. Now let me run it from so it's open. So we can see the web page. Okay. So we can see the title I changed, Hello World. This is where to get displayed. Okay. And then this is the content I added. So we can see how HTML is being used to structure the website content. So you keep on adding many tags and many contents to get your desired or envisioned website. Okay, so let's move back to the slide. So we've dealt with the structure. If you have any questions so far, can just drop it for me. Okay, we'll move to common HTML tags. Before we do that, we need to know the difference between tags. Let's move back to the slide. So the difference between tag and element. So we've dealt with the structure. Okay, let me start like this. If you have any HTML so far, can add tags and they have elements. Okay. So now we'll move to this common HTML tags, the open section. So you need to know the difference between tags. Let's move back to the slide. So the difference between tag and element. So we've dealt with the structure. Okay, let me start like this. If you have any HTML so far, can add tags and they have elements. Okay. So now we'll move to this common HTML tags, the open section. So you need to know the difference between tags. Let's move back to the slide. So the difference between tag and element. So we've dealt with the structure. Okay, let me start like this. If you have any HTML so far, can add tags and they have elements. Okay. So now we'll move to this. Let me start like this. If you have any HTML so far, can add tags and they have elements. Okay. So now we'll move let me start like this. If you have any HTML so far, can add tags and they have elements. Okay. So now we'll move let me start like this. If you have any HTML so far, can add tags and they have elements. Okay. So now we'll move do not need to cram all the tags. So we just need to know the useful ones, and then you can also check the documentation for further research or to find other useful tags. So the documentation for that, you can simply visit the MDN docs. So I can search for, so the MDN doc stands for Mozilla Development Network. So MDN docs for HTML, can simply search that. Okay. And then when I click on it, I'll be able to have access to all the HTML docs. Okay. So I have some questions here. Can you list the example of the tag again and the useful ones? Okay, I'll do that after this. So, okay, I'm going too fast. So sorry about that. So I'll try to move at your pace right now. So, so this is the documentation housing all the available elements and tags available to HTML. So we also have that for CSS and JavaScript, okay? So we can just search for the P tag and we get a feedback for that, okay? So this documentation enables us to see how it is being used and what is being used for. So it's quite a good resource for us, especially if we are just starting. So you don't need to memorize all the tags. You can just come up here and search for the tags, and then you see how it is being used, okay? So it also has a CSS aspect, which you can view. So you can also copy this code and view in your local environment, okay? So let's move back to the slides. So majorly the tags I've listed there are the major ones you might most likely come across, although we have a few others. Not all the tags are listed here. But if you check the MarkTechie platform, all the major tags have been listed there for you. So you might need to take the course, and if you have not gotten there yet, but it's available on the MarkTechie platform. So you just need to reach that aspect. So this is just like a brief overview to tackle the main points, points that might not be clear, okay? So I hope that answers your question. So some HTML tags are self-closed, while some have the open and close sections. So like I explained before, the HTML tag is a markup language. So markup in the sense that you are structuring how web content should be. So this P tag it has an open section and a closed section, okay? And then if we look at a tag like the image tag, it doesn't need an open section and a closed section. So it only houses the open section and it's self-closed. So we don't need to add another image tag, okay? So they are self-closed. So moving back to the slide now. So these tags can also take in attributes, and attributes are meant to be in the open tags. So if I navigate back to my coding environment, you can see some kind of text after the tags that go in the open section of these tags, okay? So these are called attributes. So each element has its own attributes. So this is a lang attribute that is for the HTML tag. And then you can see these cassette attributes for the meta tag. And then this meta tag also has a name attribute, the content attribute too. So these attributes take in various values, okay? And then we can also, the attributes that will most likely use the most are the IDs and the classes. So the IDs and classes are special attributes that you can use to select, or when you're trying to style or trying to add functionality to your web page. It basically acts as an identifier that you can select and then style. Okay. So we can also add, so the IDs and the class are two major common attributes. Okay, so you most likely use them the most. So these are the two major attributes that we should take note of. They are quite important, and as time goes on, we'll work on them. Okay, so moving on now. Now let's see what semantic HTML is. So over the years, HTML has evolved at a rapid rate, and the need for semantic HTML came into play. So what semantic HTML does is it adds meaningful structure to web documents. So before, you can just create a web page and everything there will be a container. Okay. So a container in the sense that everything on the web page is structured as a box. So that's what I mean. So these containers really do not have a specific area or a specific function that could enable people who were somewhat impaired to access the website. So people that cannot see or people that cannot hear should be able to also access the website. So that is why they created semantic HTML. So instead of having containers without a specific area or a specific structure or a meaningful structure, they now created containers that have names. So for example, this header tag specifies that the header, or it specifies the header of the page. So that is the top section of any web page you come across. So people that cannot see or people that are impaired can now access this web page. Okay, so there is a concept in web development known as accessibility, so which aims to project content of the web to people who are either visually impaired or auditorily impaired. So people that cannot see and people that cannot hear. So anytime someone that is impaired goes to a website, he or she knows that he is in the header section or is in the navigation section or is in the main section of the page. So you can see this structure is quite meaningful and much more interpretable than this structure. So you can see the header section, then the nav section, the main section. This specifies an article, and then a figure, a paragraph. So all of these provide meaningful structure to the web page and the web document. So these elements such as header, the nav, the section, article, footer convey the purpose and role of different parts of a web page to both developers and search engines. So the most important point of using semantic HTML, so utilizing semantic elements does not only improve accessibility, that means making the web accessible to those who cannot hear or see or have any form of impairment accessing the web, but also enhances the overall SEO, that's search engine optimization of your website. So it makes the contents of the web page accessible to those who cannot or those who are impaired, and it also improves how your website comes up on the web page. Okay, I hope you get that. So that is semantic HTML. So lastly, let's look at thinking in boxes, which is the most important thing while working in HTML. So the ability for you to think in boxes either makes you a good user of HTML or not. So a quick question to the participants. So are we supposed to think outside the box or inside the box while working with HTML? So I'll wait for your responses in the chat. So the question again, are we supposed to think outside the box or inside the box with HTML? I know it's a good thing to think outside the box, right? So thinking outside the box means thinking about various ideas that are not confined to a specific theory or to a specific instance. Okay. So, and thinking inside the box means you are not being creative enough. Okay. So, are we supposed to think outside the box or inside the box? So, I'm still waiting for more answers. So, let's move on. So, with HTML, we are meant to think in the box. So we are meant to think in boxes using HTML. So that includes thinking both outside the box and also inside the box, literally. So HTML is structured in such a way that each content or each element on the web page is a box. So let me show you that. So you can go to any website. So this, for example, this MDN Web Docs. So this is their website. So I'm going to right click and then you can see inspect. So you can do this on any browser. And I'm going to inspect this website. So we can see various HTML tags here on the website, right? But what do you notice? You can see each element or each content is like a box. Okay, so if I'm clicking on the pick an element option from the page, available in the inspect section. Okay, so let me go over that again. So visit any website. It can be Google, it can be Apple. So I'm currently using MDN Docs. So when I get to the website, I'll just right click and then inspect, and then select the pick an element option available in the top left panel of the inspect panel, okay? So when I start to hover, I start seeing everything as boxes, okay? So this is what they mean by thinking in boxes. So if I want to replicate this, I'll have to also think in the same way, the way they positioned these boxes. So each element is structured in a box format. So we'll see discuss this format later as time goes on. So it is very important for us to think in boxes while working with HTML. So you can see everything is inside the box. So thinking inside the box is necessary, but also thinking outside the box is also much more necessary, as you can intertwine boxes amongst one another and then structure boxes in unimaginable ways that makes the structure of the website much more attractive. Okay, so that's what they mean by thinking in boxes. So HTML requires us to think in boxes. Then if I also go to the web page I just created and I also inspect that, you also see there's a box there. Okay, so if I click on the pick an element, you can see there's a box there. And there are also some, you can see that yellow area. So we'll get to that shortly. So there are principles guiding these boxes, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. Okay, are we following? So HTML requires us to think inside boxes. So we must be able to combine thinking inside boxes and thinking outside boxes together to achieve a web page that is well structured and quite the attraction. Okay. So every element on the web page is a box. Every item is a box, which brings us to a popular concept in web development known as the box model. So the box model is a concept that structures every content that is on the web page. So think of every item as a box. So you have the content, right? So the content is what you put on the page, and then you can choose to add a padding and a margin. So before I get to that, every content has a border. So the border is the line surrounding that content. Okay, so the border is the line surrounding every content on the web page. So when we get to CSS, we'll see this in action. But since we're dealing with HTML, it's okay to just explain the concept for us to grab, okay? So the content, so we have the content, and then every content on the web page has a border, that is a line that surrounds that content. Okay, then we also have the padding. So the padding is the space between the content and the border on the inner side. So this space around the border and the content, or the space between the border and the content, is the padding. And then the margin is the space between a border and other contents of the web page. So think of the margin as an outer space and the padding as an inner space. Okay? So I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, just type yes in the chat. So the contents, okay. So the content has both padding, the border, and the margin. So understanding these concepts will enable us to properly structure our web page. Okay. So the border is the line that surrounds the content. Then the padding is the space in between the border and the content. So you can think of that as an inner space. And then the margin is the outer space between the content and other items on the web page. Okay. So each element or each content has this. So let's move back to the website we were inspecting. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the MDN web docs. I'm going to inspect that again. So we'll notice there's a space in between these elements and inside of these elements. So let's look at this box, for example. You can see like the MDN has a yellow section inside. I hope you can see that. So that yellow section is telling us that, okay, there is like a space inside of that. Okay, I've already selected it. So we can see that yellow section. Then if I hover to another section, we can also see that yellow section by the edges, right? We can see the yellow section by the edges. So there is a box there and there are spaces there. So these spaces either have padding or margin. So the space inside of a box, the yellow area in this instance, is known as padding. And then you notice that there's a space between this references content and this learn content. So in that instance is an outer space or an outside space. And that space is known as margin. So that margin selects or spaces different items in the web page. So it's just a space outside of a content that separates one content from the other. Okay. So let's move on. So I hope you understand the box model, even though it's just a bit. So we'll see more of this when we get to CSS. So now in conclusion, HTML forms the foundation of web development. So like I said before, various frameworks and web development tools have their foundation on HTML. So you need to structure something before you can now beautify it and add functionality to it, which is the function of CSS, that's cascading style sheets, and JavaScript, respectively. So you need to structure it first and then move on to style and add functionality to it. So this HTML forms that foundation of the structure. So any web page, you can just inspect it, whether they use React or TypeScript, everything gets converted to HTML when you inspect it, okay? So, and that is what we saw on the inspect panel while inspecting the web page. Then we must also remember to practice regularly and explore additional resources and keep up with the ever-evolving web development landscape. So it's not just enough for us to know about HTML. We must constantly practice, and that is why the MacTechie platform is available. So after you've watched those videos and gone through the content, you can try it on your local system. And then we also have some online coding environments you can try it on. So it's important for us to keep on practicing. And then the more you practice, the more you gain confidence, and you'll be able to delve into more advanced topics like CSS and JavaScript. Okay. So thank you very much. We've come to the end of this HTML section. If any of us have any questions or you'd like to request a demo to see more examples, we can do that now. But first, let's take the questions. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Shorten. Okay. Repo Africa, I can see your hands up. So I'm going to omit Repo Africa so that you can be able to talk. So please omit yourself and you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. Please, can you hear me? Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, please, do we have any other alternative for the VS Code Studio for people that does not have like a Windows or Mac for now that we can
Yes.
use to practice decoding?
Yes, there are many options. So one of them is Sublime Text.
Sublime Text, okay.
So let me just, sorry, someone's mic is echoing. So you can use Sublime Text too. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
So we can use Sublime Text. Then we can also use online IDs like Replit. And I think there's also another one, Sandcode or something. So, but majorly, the reason why VS Code, sorry, can we mute ourselves if we are not speaking? So the major reason why we use VS Code is because it has many extensions that make coding very easy. So for example, if you are using Sublime Text, anytime you change something on your coding environment, you have to always refresh the page for it to display. But with VS Code, I have the live server extension installed. And once I save, it automatically refreshes. So because VS Code has this large support network and various extensions that make coding very easy, that is why it is most preferred all over the world. Okay, I hope I have answered your question.
Repo Africa, hope your question is answered. If yes, you can bring your hand down. James, Ajayola James, I can see your hand. Yeah. So, Repo Health Africa, please, can you confirm your question is being answered?
Yes, sir. I've lowered my sir.
Okay, is your question answered?
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, James. James, you can
My question,
unmute now.
my question
Please,
is,
let's take
my
the
question is,
instruction. Until you're asked to unmute before you can unmute, please just take the instruction. All right, Mr. James Ajayola James, you can unmute now and ask your question.
thanks for the training, sir. My question is, majority of this thing I really don't understand. So I will go again and watch the video. I want to ask if next time we have another class, I can ask questions based on what I've done myself. You said the recording is available, then I'll watch the video. If I ask our question, will my question be answered in our next class?
Sorry, can you come again? I didn't really get that. Mr. James, can you come again?
I'm asking for us. I watch the video again.
Yeah, okay, let me answer your question, Mr. James. So perhaps you did not join us on the introductions class. So this class is meant for, this is the first class for the web. So this class is just to train you to um, um, educate you or open your inspiration hub to what web is and how to navigate through web. So there's a resource center, which is the MarTechie LMS itself. That is where you are expected to be able to engage yourself even much, much further. So this is the first class. We are going to be having other classes. So other classes will be dedicated towards hearing questions and answering questions. So it's just proceed to this class. So we don't expect you to have a whole lot of questions for as consigning the program itself, like writing the web framework. So we expect as just listening, then ask question why you go and consume the marketing material that will be on the LMS. So once maybe in the next subsequent meetings that we're going to be having, it will be more of questions than teachings. Thank you. Mr. James, I can see your hand, Doctor of Trenches or something. Please let's try to use a real name when we are coming in so that we can pronounce your name correctly. So yeah, I'm not saying you should mute, yes, doctor. Wait. Mr. James, is your question well attended to?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you. So you can mute Mr. James. All right, so doctor.
Good morning,
Please.
sir. Good
All right,
morning, sir. Yeah, thanks for the class, sir. Yes, sir, you were talking about the margin model, the space and everything. So I'm asking for the space, the margin model you were talking about. Is there an element or tag to create it, or when you are inputting your code, there will automatically be spacing or the margin model you said, the yellow and the other tags.
So let me start. So the name is the box model, not the margin model. So the box model is what structures these elements on our web pages, right? And then this box model, it can be, you can see it. So there's a default spacing or margin or padding once you add your elements to the web page. So you can now adjust it to fit what you want to achieve. So, but it's majorly done with CSS, but I can quickly just do a demo. Okay. So I'm going to create a CSS document. So for us to understand better. So when we get to CSS, we'll still do this again. So if I check my web page, so this is my web page, you can see there's like a default. So you can see this HTML is like in the middle of this box. Are you following? So this is a default padding. This element does not have any margin, but it has a padding. You can see the yellow that is between the border. So you can see the dotted line, right? So I mean the dotted line of the box, not the line at the edge then extended up. So you can see there's a line around the HTML and there's a space like between the top of the web page and the content. So that that space is known as padding. So it's like the inner space between the line and the content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restyle this. So we also have the link. So the link is used to link your HTML documents to an external style sheet. So we still cover all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the old styles first. So I hope we are following. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
So don't bother too much about the syntax for now. Just focus on the explanation. Okay, so we'll explain all of this later, but you can see now I've set the margin to what? To 0 and the padding to 0, right? So let's take a look at the web page again. So you can see that extra space is now gone. Can you see that? So anytime you add a new content to the web page, there will be a default padding for it. There will be a default spacing for it. So either padding or margin, okay? Then you can now adjust it. So what I did was just to reset that, okay? Then if you check down here, you can see the box model. So you can see padding 0, border 0, then margin 0, okay? So now I'm going to show the border of the elements. So I'm going to use this ID to select it, okay, that particular element. So like I said before, don't bother much about the syntax for now. So subsequently, we'll get familiar with it. So I'm going to say border. I'm going to save this now. Okay. Let me use another identifier. Okay. So can you see the black line around the elements? So that black line surrounds the elements, and that is known as the border. So you can now add space inside of the element or outside of the element. Do you get the border now? So that's the border. So the border is part of the box model and is a line that surrounds the element. Okay, then we'll now move to, so let me do margin. So you can add margin to any side, either to the top, to the left, to the bottom, or to the right. So I'm going to add a margin to the top. Let's say 20 pixels. And then the padding is the space inside. So I'm going to add a padding to the bottom. And then let's say 100 pixels. All right. So if I go back, you can see I've now separated that content a bit from the web page. That's at the top. So this space right here is the margin. And then you can see there is a space at the bottom between the line and the content. So that space right here is known as the padding. So adjusting each and every of these spaces to achieve your desired web page or your desired web structure is just simply the concept of the box model. Have I been able to answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You answered the question, but I'm a little bit confused on one thing. What I want to know is it only this CSS we can use for this style, or HTML can also be used for
Yes, you
the
can.
box model?
So the essence of styling, CSS is the language or the tool for styling HTML pages. So I might not necessarily need to create a CSS document to add styling to my page. I can add it directly to the HTML. Okay. So basically, I would say yes and no, because when you're adding style to the HTML directly, it's still CSS language, but you're adding it in the form of an attribute. So attributes go in the, so let me add another element. So I can call this hello. So I can choose to either style from the CSS document or from my HTML. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a style attribute. Okay. And I'm going to add a border. So you can see it's still like the same language.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand now.
So this language is still CSS, but I'm adding it directly to my HTML. So let's take a look. Okay. So you can see that. So I didn't add it from the CSS, I added it from the HTML, but the language is still CSS, or the concept is still CSS. So CSS is majorly for styling. HTML is not for styling. It's just the skeleton and offers the structure of the web page. Are we clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So any other questions?
Okay, so so info on the chat said is the recording going to be available? Definitely. You can come to the YouTube channel and watch the recording, and you can also download um, the YouTube link after now. It will be shared on the Telegram channel and on the WhatsApp for you to be able to download and also join. So other questions I'm seeing, I think that on YouTube, on YouTube, on YouTube, on YouTube. There's no questions like that on YouTube. Is there any, if you have any question, you can signify by raising up your hand. Okay. All right. So I want to believe that today's class was impactful and expository. So if there's any other question, instructor, is
Okay.
there any
So maybe I can just give a quick recap
all
on what
right.
we've learned. So today we covered what HTML is about. So HTML is basically stands for hypertext markup language. So it's a markup language that is used to structure the content of the web page. Right. So and we have many tags, over 200, but it is said that in your lifetime you use about 50. So and then you can also get this the list of tags from the MDN docs. So I will include it in the resources we are going to be sharing after this class. So the basic structure of an HTML page, So we have the doc type first that tells us this is an HTML document, right? And then the HTML, which is the root element in which all other elements are under. And then we have the head section that has or that houses important information concerning the website, as well as the title of the website and linking external resources to your website, okay? And then we now have the body section that displays the visible parts of the website. So anything that goes in here will appear on the web page. And then that sums up the basic structure. So we don't need to really cram all of this. We can simply install the Emmet extension, like I said. So you install Emmet, and then when you want to use Emmet, you simply use the exclamation mark, get an Emmet abbreviation, and click on it. So it gives you the basic structure without having to memorize anything. So one thing we should also note is that we shouldn't be trying to memorize code. So code is available online nowadays. So we just need to understand the concept first, and then the code will naturally come to you. So once you know how something is meant to be structured, you know the type of tags you are going to be using, okay? So you don't need to memorize any tags. Just know what is what and which is which, and then you know the type of tags to use. So we have numerous types of tags. We've covered that. We have the H1. So the H1 is a heading tag, down to the H6, the paragraph. So we have the paragraph too. These are common tags that you will use. We have the image for adding image to your website. Then we also have the another lists and the lists and so on and so forth. Okay. So we also explained the box model. So we explained the border, the margin, and the padding. So the border is the line around the content on your web page, okay? Then the padding is the inner space between your content and the border, and the margin is the outer space between the border and other content available on the web page. So I think that's basically what we covered today. So we can take our classes on the MacTechie platform, and then we must make sure we practice. Because one thing about programming languages is that if you don't use them, you might tend to forget the syntax, which is not too good for someone that has invested some time learning, okay? So make sure to practice very well. So the courses or the materials available online are available section by section. So it moves stepwise, so it doesn't skip a step. So once you start taking the course, I'm quite sure you'll be able to relate to everything I've said today. Okay, we have another question. I think you can ask your question, Mr. Oloru.
Mr. Olo, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Mr. Oloru, are you there?
Yeah, so good morning, sir.
Yeah,
And thank you for the class. So how do we get our question on MC Tech, like on the site?
You enrolled to the course. Have you been enrolled?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you can't find the.
Yeah, I couldn't get how to choose the course. I think I'm just saying personal development, and so I don't know what to choose exactly.
Okay, are you sure is McGeorge your partner for the skills?
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe Mr. Joshua can guide you on that.
What happened is this: we are planning to have a section on Monday, or but to be communicated on the group, either Monday or Tuesday. To be communicated on the group. So that section, because we want to, some of you, I think some of you, we are only taking a particular course with us, and you are taking with another partner. So there's this a bit of confusions between which partner is supposed to take you on this and that. So on Monday, once we have that clarifications and our student that is taking all these things, we are going to arrange a session where you'll be instructed on how to use mark taking. So all of you that are having difficulty to be able to log in, and so that section will be dedicated to resolve that issue. So yeah, so that will be for that session. Then please confirm, because based on what you are discussing, I doubt if the platform you are referring to is mark taking, because there is no personal development on MarkTech. So confirm the platform you are using so that you can be able to follow up on it. Right.
So can I? So hello, sir.
No, you can't break a call except you are invited. All right, who want to talk? All right, Mr.
So
Olu. Okay.
yes, sir. Yes, I want to say something. I said, can I text any of the admins so I can show them the screenshots I am getting from the site?
Not a problem. You can do that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, I can see Rashidat, Doctor. So let me, I think Doctor have talked. So let's Rashidat talk. Rashidat, you can unmute yourself and talk. Rashidat.
Good morning, sir. I want to ask, you mentioned something about some this app that we use on our local system for this practice. You mentioned sublime text but you mentioned something first before the sublime text, and I was not able to get that, please.
So,
VS Code,
okay.
Visual Studio Code. So
Visual.
yes, at the beginning of the class, the most preferred IDE. So you can just go online and then search for Visual Studio Code. So it's free, you don't need to pay. Visual Studio Code, then download. So this is the icon. So you can just download that for your system, operating system.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Any other question? Doctor of Trenches, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I have similar issues on my Mac George site. So I applied for web development, but I'm unable to download those courses. It's not downloading. It's just showing that I have paid, and I'm unable to download it.
No, you're not meant to download it. You're meant to take the courses on the platform.
Yes, I can't take the courses as well. It's not showing any option for me to take it.
Yeah, not a problem. By Monday, you will get how to use the platform. But if you click on view course, you can see a place where you can click to watch a video. And if it's document, if you click the document, it's going to pop up the screen for you to read. And there's some of the documents has video on them, so you can play. Once you scroll down, once you are reading and you scroll down to a particular section, you see a video of that document, so you can play the video of the document. But don't worry, by Monday, all this we have an interaction section for this so that you can see how to use that platform by Monday.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So do we have any other question before we wrap up?
All right, so in absence of no any questions, I want to check if MD is around. Okay, I don't think so. So in absence of no any questions, we will call today's class and end. So please, Based on what we have been instructed, we can explore more. I think the instructor dropped some resources for us to go and check. So please, let's use this weekend. Those of us that don't have editor, let's try to install an editor. If you can't use VS Code, it has given you other options that you can use. So please try to set up your editor. And if it's easy to do things nowadays, just go to YouTube and then you will get answers to what you want to do. So between now and the next class, we should be able to have familiarize ourselves with structure of HTML and how to render a page. So that's the task. So from now to next class that we're going to meet, that's the task that's assigned to us. Please let's try to design a structure of HTML and then echo something on the screen. So that would be the task. That would be the task for this for the week. And okay, I think some people are dropping. Okay, all right. So before we go, I think I can see some people dropping questions on YouTube. I can see Williams Daniel on YouTube. He asks that I can't find any course outline on the portal. And the first thing first is, when you refer to portal now, you are referring, I don't know whether you are only referring to only MarTech or other portal. So, for us to be able to answer your question, currently on MarTech, if you are using MarTech, all the course outlines is already uploaded on MarTech. So you should be able to see it on MarTech. That is already uploaded. And then well, by Monday, more details will be also shared with us. And let's join the Telegram. It seems that Telegram keep record of chat, so that you can be able to look at other chat. I think the course outline and everything was also shared on WhatsApp one time ago. But check your Telegram, you can still see it there and the rest. Okay, I think that is the only questions. That's the only questions on YouTube. All right, so okay. All right, so for the Mark Techie, the link is on the group. So please check. William, I can see your question again. The link is on the group. So please check the group, the WhatsApp group, uh, and the Telegram group, the Mark Techie group. It will be dropped. At the end of this class, it will still be reposted. And the steps to join Mark Techie will also be posted. So please, let's try to follow the instructions to the latter and join the Mark Techie. All right. Okay, so I guess that will be all for today's class. So let's have a wonderful weekend and hope to see you soon virtually on Monday. The time for the virtual meeting will also be communicated on the group so that we can meet. I know you guys are still on break or done with your break, so everything will be communicated via the group for our next meeting. All right, so please let's not forget the tax. And the tax will also be posted on the group too. So the tax is ensure you get your IDE installed on your system and render a structured HTML page. That's your task. So please try to complete your task. Thank you, everyone.